See if something comes in. We should see it popping up the moment that Photoshop is taken over on Switch. There we go. So my files have been taken into Switch, as you can see at the bottom. We identify what the color space is and if the ICC tag is correct, and we see that it uploads the two files as well. Now in the meantime, I'm going to check. I see that the other files are being uploaded by the first flow into Enterprise again. So I expect again new files to arrive here and Photoshop to take over. We'll leave that. In the meantime, I can actually take a look at my result in my content station. And I should see some new tags called repurposed, because that's the tag that I wanted to add here. As you can see here, we have repurposed files, and I can check. I can actually see it's repurposed because I've added a watermark, or at least some information on here which exactly show what is going on. So there we have the other files coming in through that second switch flow, and they will pop up here as well with the repurposed option. Oh, I'm sorry, that was not the idea. Third option is a pre-flight, and for what I'll do for that is I will actually I will add a new file based or using the Switch client, and after that it will go through a pre-flight step. So at the same time when the flow is being activated, what I'll do as well is I'll find my file that I would like to introduce here, which is our flyer which we've set up, and then I'm going to select my WoodWing submit. So this is the current flow that I've just showed you, which has been activated, and now I can access that through my Switch client. As you can see in this submit, I have the ability of defining a number of questions in Switch, and now the questions are of course completely related to the upload options into the enterprise. So I will say that this is for August, this is US, and this is software as well. So I will take in this file, and that file will be taken in. Go, pre-flighted, and then again optimized and uploaded. Now interesting as well is that it will have an update or a create option, and that depends if the file has been downloaded from Enterprise or if the file came from my Switch client. If it came from the Switch client, it needs to create a new object. If not, if it came from a download option, it needs to create a new version. So again, we can identify the file exactly how it should be. If we take another look, we should see a new file in there. Here yet, maybe it will join us later on. Right, before I show you the archive option, I would also like to show the new upload. Again, using the information here, what I'll do is I will download some files from an FTP server, actually 2 files, which I will do right now. I will hold them here, and then I will hold them at this step, and then just before they are being uploaded. There we go. So I will make sure that I take the files in. And that, of course, I can also do that via email, but I will not bother you with that right now. So we will download the files which are currently on an FTP server. This is a localhost FTP server. and that will check. Let me check now to speed up a little bit. There we go. So there I have my two files. And what we have here is we have our job file and we have a job ticket. They both came from the same direction. So what we can do in Switch, this is Power Switch only, is we can find the XML and we can take it in. Now, why do we want to take this in? Because we want to use this information in order to make sure or check if the naming convention on the file is correct. So what we'll do first is we will find the XML and we bring it in as a data set. Just like the way that WoodWing does, is a data set is metadata that you basically don't see within your flow because we only see one job file here in my next step, but the metadata is now linked internally to this job. So we have that information in here, and what we want to do is on the connection, we've just set up a naming convention based on the XML file. And the XML file holds the job ID, the publication name, the process date, and the format of the file. And if the name here, which is currently very short, of course, because it only has the job ID, if that's not correct, I need to rename it and make sure it has the correct name. So that's what I'll do right now. I will release both connections here. And we see that it now found out that it wasn't the correct name, and it found all the relevant information from that XML file, which I've linked to my job here, and now we have the complete output. That output can then be uploaded to WoodWing with a status original, which means is that my check will pick it up again and will send it through as well. So we'll leave that. It's 2 megabytes. It's not that big. But what I show here as well is that after you've uploaded the file, you can make sure that, for instance, somebody receives a notification that the upload was or correctly or incorrectly with what we call traffic light connections. So now it actually send an email to Wilma. I will check the email from Wilma, and I found out that my file here has been uploaded successfully. You can make sure that this information is sent either internally or externally to people that need to know about this, which means it's uploaded correctly, which also means that it should be dropped into this flow. We'll just let it pass a little while, and in the meantime I can show you my last flow. My last flow is showing you the option to download all assets from a publication or related to a specific edition or issue. That's up to you. What I've done now, I think that I take in anything with a final status. Now, I don't think that everybody got a final status, so I'm going to make sure that a few of my items do receive a final status. How do I do that? Well, I know that my next status is final, so I will set a few of my images to the next status. I will also do this. And in the meantime, I see that my file here has been taken up by my first flow. Might already has gone back into, let's see if we search again. There we go, we see it's now in first check. So it will actually go through my second flow here, my pre-flight, and then it will end up hopefully in my final result. Now, what do I do with my archive? So now I have a couple of files which are already on final, and I define an output structure, and I do that based on the XML information of my file. So what I've done, and this might be a bit technical, but what I've done is I've created location paths that define the value. Publication, I have my issue name, I have my category name, and I have my name proper. So what it will do, it will define an output structure, but because if I take a look at my archive here, which is actually right here, I see that the archive is currently not populated at all. And also I have my switch, FTP server set up in my outgoing, and I also see that there is no archive here. So that's what I will ask Switch to do. So let's see in the meantime. So I can already activate this flow. A couple of files will enter this flow anyway because they're already on the final status. I already see the files popping in. And what I've done, or what I do here is, again, I make a copy. I want a local archive copy, and I want a FTP upload copy. So it creates the uploads, and immediately we can see that it creates the archive for me. So Enfocus demo, July, it was a lifestyle, and these are the two assets which have been downloaded with the final status. Each of those assets also have a log folder in there which actually holds that data set, that information that a switch creates whenever a file is being downloaded. So I can just, quickly pop that up here, and this is my complete metadata, my file that is taken in. So we have all the information in here that could be useful. At the same time, I think I saw it as well, is that we had my FTP set up here with, again, the same thing, July, the two images. Now I also see that there is one other file popping in. Actually, a few files are popping in. Right, and you can see that just keeps on going. So exactly points out how Switch can use that metadata and archive the file exactly how you want. And it doesn't matter how many issues you have. You might have just 50 or a couple of hundred. You can do this for any asset within any issue that you would like to archive. So far, the use cases. I would like to end by stressing the benefits that basically you just seen. I hope, or that you've identified during the demo, is first of all, with Switch, we can manage the reception, sorting, processing, and routing of assets from an enterprise into Switch and or other localized networks. Then on the other side, we can upload the processed assets, including metadata, into the WoodWing Enterprise again. We can adapt assets to support and streamline cross-media publications, as you saw, by creating different versions of your images, and or of course also repurposing files for digital magazines as to print magazines or print outputs. So all that information is available. Routing assets, we've seen that as well, to different Crossroads partners in order to get a very feature-rich, automated flow with Switch. And again, you can show the pie chart or take a look at the pie chart to find the information here. And we have a very visual way of connecting and building the workflow and controlling it. What I would like to do now, and I hope that works without any problem, is stop sharing and maybe providing Angelo or Victor back for the final thoughts.
Thank you very much, Bert and Angelo. If anyone has any questions, feel free to send it to my email address, and I can forward it on to Bert and Angelo, and we can respond. So once again, thank you everyone for attending, and thank you Enfocus for showing your product.